right, welcome everybody to this gathering for Embodied Hawaii Regeneration. This is a gathering where we are coming together for 8 weeks in Hawaii, February and March. And we are spending some time getting to know each of our guides. Chris Berry is one of our guides. And so before we jump on in and get to learn directly from Chris, I would love to introduce you. Chris Berry is a Grammy Award-winning eclectic singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. He has high energy performance, and he's a teacher. I had the chance to study and learn with Chris last winter during the Bana Kuma camp, where we were dancing and singing and drumming. And Bana Kuma, I didn't know this at the time, but Bana Kuma literally means to sacred altar. And it is your creative ability to take thought and turn it into reality. So Chris Berry guides his students into sacred altering through traditional singing, dancing, and drumming, inspired by his time living in Zimbabwe. Over a 10-year journey to Africa, Chris found himself living in the ghettos and villages of Zimbabwe, where he sought to study the music of the Shona people. Chris spent 8 years in Zimbabwe during the Mugabe regime. Did I say that right?
Mugabe, yeah.
Mugabe. During the Mugabe regime, Chris was initiated by the village elders into their heritage, where he learned to speak their language fluently, play their music, mastering the mbira, and found his singing voice in all-night long polyrhythmic ceremonies. Chris was in Zimbabwe during the Mugabe regime, and this was a challenging political period. Chris used his growing musical platform to speak out against the oppressing government. And with his band, Pangea, they quickly had #1 hits on the radio. They toured all over Africa, and they reached platinum record sales with Grama Records. As his popularity grew, Chris was warned to leave Zimbabwe. And following the instructions of his music teachers, Chris began to tour around the world. So this is a beautiful backdrop and history to our guest, Chris Berry. I'm really grateful to have you here, Chris, and was really excited to see during looking further into you as a guide for this upcoming retreat and learn about your activism background. And so today you are living on the Big Island of Hawaii, practicing regenerative living with the community that you're creating, and you're still teaching and performing. Can you share a little bit about yourself and where you find yourself today, since this beautiful history has unfolded the tapestry of your life?
Yeah. Well, excellent. Did you take a couple bios and put them together?
Yeah, I
That
did
was
my,
really good.
it was interesting. I went deeper and deeper. The more I found, the more I wanted to know.
Right. Yeah, that was very good. I know I don't even know all the bios that are out there, but that seemed like there's a few of them all. It's a very good job. So I find myself now here on 30 acres in Hawaii. Hopefully those who take this course will be able to visit this land. We call it Aleva, which means living your authentic self or being your authentic self. And it is a regenerative community. We host classes and what we call alignment services here, where we use sacred music and dance to realign ourselves with our greater selves. Oftentimes in our lives, we can get out of balance and whatever. So we hold what we call, the old days for a church, it might be called a church service, but for us, we call it a realignment. So we use music and dance for the purposes of realigning our spirits in our body and realigning our intentions, and to use it as healing. For us here, for me, one of the most valuable things that I learned in Zimbabwe and throughout Africa, I've been over 24 different countries in Africa now, is that they use music and dance as a healing, an alchemizing healing medium. So to say, for instance, we have a dance class here every Thursday. Last Wednesday, a piece of it was big winds out here. We live on the lava, and a big wind picked up a giant board on the lava, and it flew through the air and it hit me in my leg and almost broke my leg on Wednesday.
Wow.
And I
Jeez.
was supposed to teach on Thursday. Now, most people would say, oh, I mean, I could barely walk. So most people would say, oh, my leg is injured. I can't dance, right? But from the Bana Kuma perspective and from the African perspective of music and dance and many other cultures around the world, we don't go to dance. We go to dance for the healing. So I did the dance class. I did dance with my injured leg, and my leg was 20 times. I could walk the next day. I could barely walk before the dance class, and after the dance class, you can ask everyone there. I was walking around freely because I used the dance and all the energy I was generating, all of my chi, all of my joy, all the endorphins I'm releasing in my head, my brain, my body, my own pharmacy that dance releases when we do it in an aligned way. That all went to my leg, and that
Mm.
energy and the flow and the healing of that dance made my leg better. And I barely had any pain the next day. And in 2 days after, I was completely healed. Where the impact of this thing would have, I thought my leg was broken, So um, I
And
think that's where I'm at today, is taking what I learned. The Bana Kuma is all my creation. It's all my compositions, all the dances, all the drum. I didn't I believe that the cultural dances that I learned in Zimbabwe, the music that I learned, that is specific to their culture. I am uh, creating a new culture, and so I need music, dances, and new viewpoints to base the culture I want to create around. So my music and everything in the Bana Kuma, the 12 archetypes, the 12 dances, the 12 rhythms, which if when people come to Hawaii, we'll be learning those. Those are all my compositions or my inspirations, my channelings. I believe we're all our channels, and I've reached into through aligning with my greater self through the music. I now have an access to other realms. Those dances and that music has come to me from what I believe are other realms, and that's what currently. We have once a month. We have every Saturday
I
closest to the
think
full
I
moon.
think something I'd like to just stop because you
Oh
just brought
yeah.
up so many beautiful things. Thank you.
Uh,
Uh, Going back to the power of healing with music, most people don't think about singing and dancing necessarily as a regenerative tool to be able to be a somatic exercise. But whenever you look at it, physically, you're moving your body, you're stretching your muscles, you're stretching the fascia, you're putting breath into your lungs, you're clearing the mind, you're creating a single pointed focus with a group effort. And so there's a lot of healing that happens through Bana Kuma. And last winter, whenever I took it was almost 2 weeks, the retreat, where it was full on full on movement, dancing, singing. You're not just doing this expressive arts, but every single gesture, every word is an evocation of the spirits. It is a prayer. And that's part of the Zimbabwe culture that I feel like the African culture that you do keep as you um, have been encouraged by your teachers to write your own songs, to write your original lyrics, to create fusion music that then you can take globally. You're still bringing the depth and the root of what it was that you learned in that African culture. Um, and I think that's really important because the way that you facilitate these groups and the ways that you lead your retreats in these containers is a living laboratory of dropping people into the frequency of what it is that you create, that you experienced in Zimbabwe. Like when I was in your container, I really felt the community being held accountable to themselves and being held accountable to one another. And that's what creates a safe space for healing, because you have areas of high engagement, high reflection with other people. And it's really beautiful when you can do that with a community that you already are part of. So one of the things that we're really interested in giving people a firsthand experience of is, what is it like to live in community? So many people are living in these nuclear households where maybe they see one or two other people a day if they work from home, or they come back home and they eat their meals by themselves, right? This is, we have a digital workforce as more people are going online, and we don't have communion. and we don't have relationships front and center of our culture creation anymore. And I think that's something that you do bring forward. So could you share a little bit more about how um, that 8 years that you were working with the elders in Zimbabwe, learning their language, learning their instruments, learning their ceremonies and their songs, and seeing how they engaged with one another, how that's informed you in the community that you're now creating in Hawaii?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't mean to negate anything that was given or taught to me in Africa. I like to make clear that, you know, that the compositions and the music and the dance are my own creations,
Mhm.
inspired, heavily inspired. They wouldn't be there without the influence of Africa. And not only is it 8 to 10 years that I was there, I have been going back almost every year. I mean, the 8 to 10 years was spent from the early 90s to 2000. And for the past 24 years, I've been going back almost every year, if not, if not more. So it's even been over that amount of time that I've spent there seeping in a tradition that, yes, is community based, number one, and number two, didn't lose the therapeutic essences of their music and their dance. I mean, growing up in this culture where I got the only exposures I had is either I had to be a Christian and go to church and be in a church where they sang hymns and things of that nature, or you go for entertainment, right? You go to a show and there's musicians on a stage and you worship those musicians and you think, oh, how great they are and how little I am. I'm down here and they're up there. And it's a very, very skewed Western idea of music, where in Africa, the musicians they're never on a stage in the village with the people. Everyone's, they're either around the musicians. It's never like praising the musicians. The musicians see themselves as creating a field with all the people that are there, an energetic field they call Njinji. And so that, of course, like that's what you feel in the Bana Kuma is I bring that wisdom, I bring that influence from those people to what I do most obviously. And that's the medicine of what I do. And that is directly from Africa, and it's directly from a culture that has been unbroken for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The only reason they're still doing this, the music and the dance, is because it has worked. It's not written down. It's not preserved in writing or recordings. It's all that is worked from one generation to the next. They say, this is valuable, learn this. This will save you. This will heal you. This will bring the community together. Also, this instrument, the mbira that you mentioned this is
Can you play us a little
one.
bit? I would love for everyone to hear it.
It'll sound terrible through here, but you can come to Hawaii and it's you
Oh
speak
no.
best. Yeah, no, I won't play for you right now. Sorry. No. But it's amazing. There's recordings all over Spotify. I respect the instrument too much to let it go through these little speakers. It's like too holy.
Oh yeah.
It's my Bible. This is my Bible right here.
What would be your number one song that I could find online, like maybe on Spotify, the best example of the Mbira?
There's a what was that? There's an album called Hold On.
Yeah.
And it's Chris Berry and the Ancient Melody Ensemble, and it has tons of Mbira. It's an Mbira album, so you can listen to
Okay.
that one. But what I was trying to say was, with this is something that they believe connects the realms, connects the earth, us in the physical to the spirit realms as well. So there's also that part of the music where we are inviting in the unseen. We know as humans that we have a very small sliver of reality that we can see, touch, taste, and feel. And there's so much more out there that we cannot see. And so the Imbira reaches out to that which we cannot see and brings it into our reality.
Wait, what does that mean? Like, here you are, this young boy. I think you were born in California. Is that right? You
Yeah.
know, you're born in California, just like many of us here in the United States, just plugged into a common culture. You discover music, you discover your passion for music, you take a journey quest, you go overseas, you fully immerse yourself in African culture, and you all of a sudden discover this tool, this instrument that we would just think it's only music, but you're saying that it's something to journey with. What does that mean?
Your question is, what does it mean to journey with it?
Yeah, like maybe do
I,
you have a story or an example that you can share with us
yeah,
that
I mean,
was outstanding?
basically how it happened for me is I was just a normal kid, growing up in California, and around the age of like 13, 14, I this master drummer moved into my little town in Sebastopol, which is like this little was back then just a little hippie town. And he moved in and started teaching classes there. And the minute I heard the drum, I my whole life, it's like I believe that there's deeper parts of us, maybe past lives or parts of our spirit that have are already pre-aligned with things, right? So I'm sure that some people that are watching this, or you yourself, Marley, have found something that, maybe 100 people see it, but you have a special connection. Like, wow, that really touched me. And there's a reason for that. Why is that aligning with your spirit and maybe not everyone else? So when I was a kid, my friends would all hear the drum. They're like, why do you like that stuff? I'm like, you don't hear this? This is the most incredible thing. It was so incredible that I just at this time there was no internet. This is like early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. There's no internet and all of that for me to even know what Africa was like or research it. I just gave up everything and just left for Africa and didn't come home for 10 years because I heard this music, and I actually heard a recording of the mbira, this instrument, um, before I went to Zimbabwe, and it made me cry, and that sound pulled me. I had no idea, but that sound, following my passion, led me to this journey. And again, that's one of my biggest things I like to bring up, and like how people get in touch with when they do the work with me or do the play with me, as I like to call it, is getting in touch with what is their passion. If you follow that, who knows where that path goes, but it's really exciting and amazingly interesting and totally fulfilling.
You're hitting on something key here, which is passion, which is you exude passion. You're just like an infinite fountain of passion. And it's that charisma that gets other people energized and electrified to move into the whole embodiment of what it is that you lead. But maybe not everybody has had a direct experience with passion the way that you have. What is passion to you?
Um, I think, I think everyone could, just kind of list different is or things in their life and kind of go, what am I most excited about in that list of things? And that's your leading. If you don't have the passion right now, just kind of starting to narrow down into what excites you, and following what excites you, maybe that turns into more of something that you're passionate about. And some people just see something and they're like, oh my God, I love that, and that's it. And it happens different for everyone. So I wouldn't judge the process, but yeah, for me, it was just I heard it, and for whatever reason, it just called to me, and it was a feeling of just like it was a feeling of just joy, just like yes, I love this. And there was no question that that's what I loved and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what it was just. I mean, and I know our culture really buries that in people, and so we're taught to kind of like go along, and a lot of times it's hard for us to find our passions. But I always say, it's something's out there, just scratching at your door, and there might be something that just excites you more than other things that excite you. That's probably a good place to start.
Mhm. As you're talking, I'm thinking about moments, like, for example, when my voice woke up. It was one of those moments where lightning strikes and there's really no going back. Or the first
Mm,
time that I sat down for meditation, not even knowing what meditation really was, and my entire
mm,
body filled with light, and there was no going back. And
mm.
um,
There you go.
yeah, what's beautiful about that is often we think that people need to be deeply nested in something from a very young age, which you had the opportunity to do with your passion for music. But so
Mm,
often people can go through their lives, their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, and still have that original spark of lightning hit them. And all of a
mm.
sudden, their entire life can change. And one of the really exciting things for me with that was I didn't expect to love percussion as much as I do, but working with Maurizio, one of your drummers, and he's one of the teachers there on the Big Island, actually a neighbor of the retreat center where we're still
Yeah.
probably going to be hosting. Good news. And he's such an incredible teacher, and that percussion puts you in this trance state where you're completely out of your mind. And where you are pulled into your mind, it becomes a playground to just process and release as you're drumming, as you're moving, going back into the healing. And I'm curious, as you've been a performer facilitator for over 20 years, have you seen any miraculous life changes around the community around you as a result of being in this music?
My whole community is based on the people who have come and been healed by it. I mean, there's thousands of people around the world. I Bana Kuma. It's been shared in over, I think, something like 30 different countries now. So um that's all I see is just the people that are around me, the people that are here, the people at the land that I'm sitting on right now. That's why they come. It's because people are getting fed from it, and
Mhm.
spiritually fed, physically fed. They find community. You know, part of it is it's not denominational. We don't have any sort of religion. It's like the music and the dance just speak for themselves. They're just an ancient art form that it's universal, and we don't require anybody to believe anything or have to like follow a certain kind of spirituality. Or it's like the music, it's very simple, it's very human. It crosses cultures, it crosses nations, it crosses colors. It's, as my teacher used to say, like the music has no color. The music is for everybody. Um, but yes, I see that, and that's one of the exciting things about Hawaii and the new land that we have here is we're actually really like consolidating and catalyzing a center for people around the world to come to and to experience it. I'm getting to the place now where like, okay, I've traveled enough. You guys come to me. So I'm going to be holding a lot of stuff here, like what we're doing. I'm so glad that you're bringing your a crew to Hawaii, because also this place, and I hope you talk about this, the regenerative energy of this place of Hawaii, the Aina here, the land, is just that when you put it together, we put together this land with the what we're doing, the two together just create, an immense power.
What what do you mean? I understand what you're saying when you're saying this, but for those who are listening that have never lived on an active volcano,
Mhm.
what do you mean when you say the land is regenerative?
It's the newest land in the world. Right outside my door, I step out onto land that no one has ever stepped on before. It's literally still creating itself. It's new, it's fresh, it's for the Zimbabwean people, it's a very sacred place because one of their sacred symbols is fire in the water. And the way that I was sent to come by them because one of the elders he didn't know the name Hawaii, but one of the elders in the village who was a spirit medium said, you have to go to the land where the fire is in the water. That's where you're gonna plant the seed of this wisdom, and this is where it will grow. And I was like, where is the land where the fire is in the water? I had no idea where that was for years. And I was traveling. I came to Hawaii for a show, and I was on the airplane, and they had a video in the airplane, like a tourist video of the lava falling into the water, and it had an underwater camera showing this lava like hitting the water, and it was like really cool footage. And I was like, "This is the land of the fire and the water," because right where we are right now, thank God the lava flow is done here, but right here, the lava was flowing right into the water, right where we are. And
Mhm.
so I literally came to the land where the fire is in the water. And it's been like foretold that this is a place where this energy is going to like, gonna reach out to the rest of the world from here.
Mhm. Mm.
And the crazy story about that is after I got off the plane, I told the people who were hosting me for the show, and they said, "Oh, we have 18 acres that we don't know what to do with on the Big Island. And so would you like to have that if you do something positive with the land?" So they gave me land the plane.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is when we talk about what is it to have passion. And you talk about listening to that intuitive, deeper voice. And something that I like about you is that you're constantly listening to the symbolism around you, which we could say is intuition. You're constantly leaning into the reflection of your environment to help guide the way, which is something that I think nature also teaches us how to do. Because when we're in nature, our nervous system settles. And as our entire nervous system settles, we come out of a racing mind that might be programmed by billboards, ads, televisions, phones, and we just start to see our natural environment and we become
Yeah.
a part of
Yeah.
nature again. And we are mammals. We have evolved in nature. Our entire composition is designed to be on the land the way that you are with your community right now on the lava fields. And when you have integrated that deep into your body again, regenerated through the supportive regenerative powers of nature, it's easier to see the symbols. It's easier to see the synchronicities. It's easier to know that you're right on track with what you could call a sense of purpose or a dharma or soul calling. And so many people, myself definitely in the past included, were too afraid to listen to that deeper inner voice or too afraid to
Mhm.
step off the paved path into the unknown, to move towards the big feelings. And so for you as
Mhm.
somebody who's just done this for such a long time, do you have any advice to support others who might be listening to their intuition for the first time?
I love how you just said move towards the big. I'm gonna quote write that one down. That's a good quote. Move towards the big feelings. Yes. Uh yeah, I mean, I'm
Ooh. Oh, hold on. Sorry, just went mute for a second there. Could you start that one more time?
oh, I wonder why that happened. All right, can you
There
hear
we
me
go.
now?
Yes, yeah, please.
Oh, okay. So, you know,
Mhm.
I just heard some really interesting information about neural pathways. You know, how we think actually creates patterns in our mind about, if we thinking negative thoughts, we actually create negative neural pathways in our mind. And you can't go in and dismantle those neural pathways, but you can override them, and you can override them with more positive thoughts. So it's not about going in and like finding out what's wrong with your life and then destroying that. It's creating, forget about that. It's about finding new positive solutions, and those new positive solutions will rewrite new neural pathways and override the negative ones. So I feel when people come to Hawaii, this is your chance. You're in this regenerative place. You're in this new land. It's like, let it go. I always tell people, leave your stuff at the gate. When you come here, leave your stuff there. You can pick it up if you want on the way back out. But come in
Mm.
here for newness, come in to create something new, to envision what you want, but not to wallow in the past. Forgive the past, forgive yourself, let it go for a bit and see what new neural pathway, what big feelings may come when you're here, because this land is supportive of such a venture, because the land itself is doing the same thing that we are asking people to do when they come here. It's
Mhm.
already being exampled by the land, by the newness and the freshness and the power of this land. It's creating its own new land-based new pathways in the land, right? So it's like the mind can just follow suit with the nature that's here, if that makes any sense. I know that's a little bit esoteric, but
No. And it's I love creating parallels between ecology and human ways and thinkings, the gestation
Mhm.
of humanism. And we forget that we're completely inseparable, right, from nature. And we talk about the cycles of seeding, rooting, sprouting, blossoming, fruiting, and then the decomposition and the composting and going right back to becoming the nutrients that fertilizes that seed to create the new roots. And that is the tree of life. And that's another thing that nature immersion brings in. Um, well, I'm curious if there's like a mini workshop that you can guide us through here to teach us some rhythm, maybe teach us what polyrhythm is, maybe teach us some stories about the songs that you teach. Is there something that you can give us so people can develop their own skill sets back home?
It's again, I can how let's see, how can I explain this? What I can do is share with you that the rhythms um that we learn are actual keys to open a portal that the Zimbabweans and other cultures refer to as Injinji. So when you play these rhythms, these polyrhythms that we play and we dance to, it's you know, all of nature is based on rhythm, right? It's all the cycles, it's all the spinning, it's all the turning. And so these rhythms that we play are have been designed, engineered for thousands of years to create a sort of electromagnetic field around the place where it's being played. And that field is this extremely important and powerful, potent place. So the most basic rhythm that one of the most basic polyrhythms that we have in this music is one hand represents the masculine or the physical, and I usually use the left hand, and the right hand represents the female and the spiritual. And
Hmm.
so, you can do it on yourself or you can do it on your legs, but I'll do it here. It's best to do it in your leg, um, but the exercise is to say both right, left, right, 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 both, and saying both right, left, right at the same time as you do it, your hands will follow both right, left, right,
Right.
both
Both
right, left.
right, left, right. Both right, left, right. Also, this talking about healing, this is a tapping spot. So we have many energy meridians across the heart here. So as you're tapping
Awesome.
on your chest, you're actually also releasing the energy meridians.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you see, so this is something you can do on your steering wheel or you're driving, just walking down the road, you can do both right, left, right. And it is sort of this crazy quotient of like the beginning of the polyrhythms of African music. And it's about how the realms mix together, how masculine and feminine go in harmony. But if you watch, so if I count, just watch for a second. So I go like both right, left, right. My left hand is going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. My right hand is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Left hand 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1,
It's like my
2,
brain just
3,
got so
1.
confused watching that. 1 second ago, it was very simple. And then it just went, wait.
Yeah, it's completely, yeah, it starts getting complex if you take it apart, but that is, it's hard. It's really, I don't teach and play over the internet for a reason because I respect the art form very much, but that's about what I can show you. But we take that then again to a different level with all the drums and, we have stick drums, we have hand drums, we have shakers, we have things that all sorts of instruments that anybody can be involved in. I mean, in our Bana Kuma orchestras, I don't know if we did that at the gathering you were therefore, but we add guitars and horns and marimbas and all sorts of things and
Oh,
stuff like
wow.
that.
We
Yeah.
didn't have horns, but what I did witness were people coming as complete beginners with absolutely no practice with the
Uh-huh.
drums. And then by the end of the retreat, they were up on stage performing live for the community and really enjoying themselves doing it. So
Yeah.
that's impressive to learn polyrhythm in just a week.
Yep, absolutely. So, definitely people will walk away like learning lots of rhythm, lots of dance, and it's always free choice. So you take on as much as you want or whatever. And I think at the end of our gathering, we're going to also share with the community, right? For
Mhm.
those who want to, they'd be allowed to, or they invited to, if they so chose, to actually share what you learn with the community. So we always try to I teach, but I always try to share it with the community. So, for instance, I have my Thursday classes, but this Saturday we'll be doing a full moon gathering where those Thursday classes show the community what we've been learning, and then they kind of share that healing with the community. So, hopefully, we'll have something like that along those lines. I need to be giddy. I got a call from my daughter's
Okay.
school, and I don't know what that means. I'm going to return that. Is there
Yeah, I
any
think that's a good
quick
idea.
question? I don't know why they would be calling me, so
Yeah, I hope everything's okay.
yeah.
Chris, just thank you so much for being here. We'll let you hop off. I'm going to share the rest of the details for the gathering where you're hosting for a whole week on the Big Island, and I look forward to reconnecting with you.
And yeah, if there's any questions anybody has, you have they can send it to you or through me, and I can answer any more questions anybody else has. Um,
Okay?
yeah, normally don't call me, so I'm just curious. I hope nothing's wrong, but
Take that call. No,
I
it's
want
gonna
to take
be,
the call.
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
okay. Please tell
But
Esme.
thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. It's still going to happen at Lolia, and I can't wait to meet everybody who comes. So
Yeah. Thank you,
thank
Chris.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Wow. All right. Wow, everybody. Well, that was Chris Berry. He's going to be one of our incredible instructors. We have 8 guides coming in to be with us across February and March on the Big Island. Um, I will go ahead and put a link here in the chat, and also follow up in the email so everybody can take a look at what exactly it is that's going on. Let's pull that up. Dun, 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 dun. And as we do, feel free to use this time if you're here live to ask in the chat. Um, what questions that you might have, questions to follow up with Chris around, um, questions for myself about the retreat. And here we are. Okay. So as we are continuing, I'm going to go through an overview of the Hawaii Embodied Regeneration Retreat so you can understand exactly why we're coming together and what it's for. Like Chris talked about, whenever you are on the island of Hawaii, it's very regenerative experience. It is the newest land on earth, literally, because it is erupting from the volcano. And as that fire, as the lava hits the water, it becomes the black lava stone. And that is what Hawaii has always done. If you think about the biodiversity, the life, the flowers, the fruits, the birds, the wild boars, the animals, abundance and vitality are thriving on something that was nothing more than just a lava stone in the middle of the ocean. When you visit Hawaii today and you see the paradise that it's become, and you let yourself travel all the way back to the formation of the island, realizing that everything that is there first came over winds across the ocean. And eventually, those winds brought birds, brought seas. Eventually, those waves brought people, and the people continued with the development of the island. And you see that abundance. That's what happens to individuals on a personal level. Whenever you immerse yourself in an eco retreat, that means that you're living on solar energy. You are eating food with community, with food that's grown and prepared on land. The retreat center that we're looking with right now has over a dozen fruit varieties just on its own property. You are drinking water caught from the rain. you're using water supplies for your showers, for your dishes, all of that is sustainably caught and kept in water reserves. The pools, the Watsu pool, the wood burning hot tub, that is ocean spring water heated by the lava, geothermal heated, all natural. Whenever you think about soaking in that water, whenever you think about swimming in the ocean with the wild dolphins right off the coast here in Pahoa, it's magic. And there's nothing short of magic in those experiences when you're walking through an ancient mango grove at the dark of night, feeling the presence of the trees, feeling the presence of the spirit of the trees and the animals and the spirit of the animals all around you. And it's that sense of mystery, awe, and magic that awakens our intuitive abilities and our ability to have that lightning bolt of inspiration to regenerate not only ourselves personally for our somatic healing, for our emotional, spiritual, physical well-being, but also our passion projects and our professional projects. So this is an incubator that is going to be multi-generational, where we're calling for individuals on a personal and professional level who are impact driven, who really have a planetary consciousness, and whether they're working with social issues or environmental issues, systemic change issues, or just community development, whatever it is that really brings you alive, we're going to be introducing you to teachers across many diverse modalities who can help you understand that no matter who you are and no matter where you are in life, that you can be a part of the solution just by showing up exactly how you are with more awareness and a little bit of guidance. Each one of the guides that are coming through are consulting on personal projects, on professional projects, and the days are going to be broken up into really creating a balance of life. We like to say a work-life balance, but if your career and your profession is your passion, is your dharma, it hardly feels like work. So how can we integrate that so that way we can create a regenerative lifestyle for ourselves as we create the solutions on a planetary scale? Because we can't create the solutions from the same confined mindset and lifestyle that created the problems in the first place. And that's what this 8-week gathering in Hawaii offers. It offers a firsthand experience, getting a glimpse of the future of what it looks like to be in regenerative living styles, in healthy, thriving community with others, where we are finding balance. And so I'm going to walk us through the weeks. We have the first week is going to be all about rebirthing. And so let me pull this up here. I want to get the link live with everybody. Ba, 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 yee. Okay, here we go. So it's in the Zoom chat now. If you'd like to go through it with me, I'm going to go through it with you now. So we're beginning Sunday, February 2nd, and we're going all the way to the end of March, March 29th. And while we are definitely encouraging people to come for 1 month, 2 months, we understand that everybody has things going on in their life, and maybe they can only come for 1 week or 2 weeks. That's all right. Just come for whatever feels the most aligned, whatever feels like that lightning bolt of passion and inspiration for you. If you're local in Hawaii and you're already on the island, then we're going to have a Ohana commuter day pass, so you can be a part of the exercises as well. This is really about getting the local community involved, empowering the local projects, engaging the local communities, and breathing into more strength, more synergy, and more vitality, that which already exists, knowing that we hold solutions and answers for one another. And that's one of the reasons that we're coming together, is to be in this high state of reflection. So going through the weeks, we have the first week with Elena Tonetti. She's an incredible elder based out of here in Ashland. That's how I met her. She's recently come out of retirement to teach her orgasmic birthing and birth into being method, where she addresses healing generational trauma. Elena is an incredible woman. She's going to be live with us in just 2 weeks' time. So if you enjoyed this session with Chris, come back in 2 weeks. We're going to be interviewing with our guide, Elena. And Elena started teaching this in 1982, where she went from being an activist and she stepped into her activism being focused on creating planetary peace, planetary piece that was centered around how humans enter planet Earth determines the way that we gestate, we relate, and we evolve and we co-create. So after she was introduced to the rebirth method by Siberian shaman, she took that information and she made it her life's mission to take this information all around the world, which is exactly what she has done, teaching people the orgasmic birth methods as well as open dolphin birthing camps around the world. So we're so grateful to have her coming with us in Hawaii. It's going to be really exciting. The second week, February 9th through the 15th, I will be hosting, my name, Marley Benedicto. I'm going to be hosting Harmonize. Harmonize is a vibrational medicine modality where we use the voice as a tool to bring our mind, body, and spirit into harmony by singing the ancient ragas, the singing practices from the Indian temples, which is where Chris just shared his journey of going to Africa. Well, my journey led me to India. And when I was in India, I was introduced to these singing practices that opened my heart, cleared my mind, and dropped me down into my sacral, dropped me into my hips, dropped me into my womb space to access new levels of intuition and guidance that came from an infinite sense of self. All of my past lives opened up, and I began to access what we might call multidimensional healing and ancestral healing, right? Because we, in this week, will be going into the ethereal nature of our reality, going between material and frequency, and how we can tune not only our body, the material for somatic health, but also use our voice as a tuner for our toroidal field. And a lot of this will be done in nature because the deeper exploration during this week is not just voice activation and self-actualization, but it's really being able to attune yourself to the voice of nature and learning the ancient peace wisdoms that are available from Mama Gaia when we listen. Because although the trees, the banyan trees and the mango groves may not use language the way that we do as humans, they're constantly present and they're constantly stewarding their wisdom forward for us to receive. And as we're working on these regenerative projects, these passion projects, our entrepreneurial drives, it's going to be really important to understand how do we integrate the voice of nature into these projects. The third week, it's going to be all about eco-development and spiritual sustainability, really building the future. We're bringing on Ian Michael Herbert. He is the co-founder and CEO of Holos in Costa Rica, which is all about ecological stewardship, leadership development, and personal transformation in a land-based village model. Previously, Ian also worked for Esalen, really ushering forward the vision of that incredible organization as well. So he'll be with us for an entire week, telling us what Holos did, how they did it, what they learned, what worked, what didn't work, and how we can prepare ourselves to experience land-based community living, whether we want to join an existing community model or create our own. It's really good to learn from people that have spent a long time doing this, testing it, and putting groups together. The fourth week, February 23rd to March 1st, we're going to be learning all about climate solutions, regeneration solutions, and cultural innovation with Regen Intel. We'll be hosting guides Mamta Mehra and Chad Frischman. They were part of Project Drawdown, and now they are leading Regen Intel. And we're really going to be going into more systems design, policy creation, high levels of consultancy to understand what is happening on a global scale right now that we need to be aware of. While we're over here talking politics, so many other decisions are being made globally, like deep sea mining, that we aren't necessarily looking at. And as we understand the importance of advocating for the voice of the earth, it becomes increasingly important for us to understand what are the realities of mineral extraction, of preserving trees and forests, of sustaining and restoring soil, of protecting water rights, of protecting the ecosystems that are invisible to the human eye. We are a planet of thriving life, and humans are just one species among that. And so what Regen Intel really does is they are creating large systemic change. And so, especially if you're working on technologies or projects, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get direct consultancy and have direct coaching and teaching from these visionary guides that have really put in a lot of work to create real life planetary impact. So honored to have them. Um, week 5, we'll be integrating with the local Indigenous Hawaiians and their teachings and going around to sacred sites, learning the history of Hawaii, learning the traditions of Hawaii, the aloha, the ho'oponopono, and what these things really mean, immersing into the Hawaiian language, and once again, going even deeper into why are we gathering in Hawaii? Out of all the communities that I've seen around the world, I haven't found another global point that has the same energetic transmission and community relations as Hawaii. It's very unique. And it's important for us to be able to explore the culture that is on this island because it holds keys and codes for us to integrate into culture, both personally and professionally in other parts of the world. And because the wild island is still the wild island. The big island is still like the wild, wild west in the sense that it is an active volcano. Um, it hasn't been overly developed yet. And I think it's really our kuleana. It is our sacred privilege and right to protect that, to preserve that, and to really go in as stewards of consciousness in curiosity. Taking that and not saying we want to bring this, not saying we want to change this, we want to extract this, just we want to simply be in spaciousness, observe, receive, alchemize, and see what naturally arises with the coexisting culture and community that's already there. So this will be a really deep opportunity to do that. And then week 6, March 9th to March 15th, that is when Chris Berry will be on. And so, like he shared, we're going to be focusing on the healing power and rhythm of movement with daily workshops of tribal drumming, elemental storytelling, dancing, really bringing the body to life. And you guys, I've had the privilege to experience many outstanding things in my life. The Bana Kuma retreat that I got to do with Chris last winter was truly life-changing, and authentically is the reason why we've asked him to come forward also as a local representative there on the island, carrying the mana of the land, the culture and the community of the land. So following our week-long retreat of going into learning an actual zeitgeist of his practice, we will then take that into a performance and share it with the greater community and perform for the greater community, culminating in a really fun DJ set and dance with his wife Esme and the greater public. So you don't want to miss that. You just got to meet Chris. He's wild. Um, and then the following week, we are partnering with Lucian Tanowski with Up Games. Lucian is a storyteller himself and an absolute visionary with a planetary reach where he guides people on these wild adventures, connecting them to the elements. And the whole premise is you are time traveling. You are going forward and reconnecting to your future self in a space where you have truly already accomplished that which is your personal kuleana, right? Your sacred privilege or your dharma, to be in contribution to the planetary regeneration and the successful transition of us really finding stabilization and peace and co-creation in presence and transparency. And we can go deeper into what that is. But Lucian really brings together people of high engagement, high impact that are doing the work, really doing the work. And so this is an excellent opportunity for networking as well. While we have all these incredible guides coming through and we're taking field trips and maybe we're swimming with dolphins or we're sunrise on the tallest mountain of the world from sea level, Mauna Kea, or we're planting the taro fields and learning the indigenous cultures down in Waipio Valley, whatever it is that we're doing, we're also going to be balancing our work, play, work life with facilitated professional workshops. So we'll be with instructors for part of the day. We'll have a field trip, and we're also going to have professional incubation with really clear leadership to help you accelerate your personal and passion projects with facilitators who are serial entrepreneurs who have successfully created and sold their own businesses that can help you strategize, network, and problem solve real time. So that way we really are creating a balance. And then finally, the last week, week 8, March 23rd to the 29th. Oh, and the week with yes. So, yep. Okay, great. So the last week is going to be just about coming down, landing the plane, integrating, because, I've had the opportunity to host communities like this for 3 months, I've had the opportunity to host communities like this for 4 weeks, and I can tell you this will change your life. If you come for 1 week, you're gonna leave regenerated and renewed. If you come for 2 weeks, you're going to change as a person. If you stay for 4 weeks or longer, you're never gonna go back to who you used to be. This is a fundamental regeneration of who you are, your values, your reciprocity, and your availability to be holistically interconnected with a co-creative reality around you, really connected to a deeper sense of awareness of Mama Gaia, the planet Earth, and regenerative solutions. So this last week, we're calling in our elders. We're calling in our evolutionary leaders, our conscious leaders, and we're also calling in the youth to really just come together and look at how have we done it this far? What came up? What are the next steps? And how are you going to take this back home with you to continue on your own? And how do we, as a group, decide as a group what's the next step, right? Because I imagine a lot of incredible things are going to come out of this.